When we were not out on morning and evening game drives, the downtime is ours to do with as we please. Some folks sleep, others read books, and some just relax by the pool. Since Fran and I have a difficult time relaxing, we decided to engage the services of a local tour guide. We hired Roy, who, by the way, also works for Arathusa, but had the day off. We hired him to show us around the area for a few hours. We wanted to see what life was like outside the touristy environment of our safari lodge. We're in the little town of Utah, which is located just outside the park. And we stopped off at a local high school, which is grades 8 through 12. We're going to cruise around the high school a little bit, and I think even have a chance to meet one of the teachers. So this is a really cool opportunity to understand what life other than the game, living on a game reserve, is like in Africa. By our standards, the school looked poor and substandard. There were no computers or any of the physical amenities our kids enjoy. But the kids were happy and getting a good basic education, even being taught how to grow their own food in an area that water is more scarce than gasoline. Today was the last day of school before a holiday break, and the kids were getting ready for a celebration. Fran got totally freaked out when she was introduced to a bunch of kids who were preparing freshly killed chickens for that afternoon's feast.
Oh man! Oh yuck!
While the girls were knee-deep in dead chickens, the boys were doing what boys do, horsing around while the girls did all the work.
You guys are crazy! Okay? You guys are crazy!
As we started to drive away from the school, Roy invited us to meet his wife and his kids at their home in the nearby village of Utah. How could we pass up that opportunity?
The difference in culture is absolutely amazing. Roy, our driver, is now taking us over to his house, a house that it's taken him 7 years to build. It's incredible the process they go through. He buys the land and he builds a little bit at a time. He may build one room, then put a little bit of roof on there, come back again a few months later, or maybe even a year later after he's earned more money to go ahead and build onto the house. But what we're going to do right now is take a tour of Roy's house and have a chance to see what he's built over the last 7 years.
Roy designed and built this house with his own bare hands. It has taken him 7 years to get where he is today, and figures it'll be several more years until the house is complete. Housing and construction standards are not what we as Westerners would embrace. But when compared to many of the other houses in the area, Roy and his family are living pretty high off the hog, so to speak. It seems a bit odd that the kitchen area was not used to prepare food, but one of the bedrooms was.
Did you tend to eat?
Yes, this one. You can taste if you want.
It is here where Roy introduced us to what his family ate pretty much all the time. Their diet was pretty basic. Some cabbage, a bit of homegrown protein, and a very thick porridge made from cornmeal. Roy asked us if we'd like to test the food. While I'm sure he meant taste, I was apprehensive, anticipating some sort of intestinal backlash. But Franny threw caution to the wind and said,
"Sure, let's go for it."
Oh, you do?
The only required utensils were those 5 appendages we call fingers.
Oh, that's pretty good. You have to try it. Good. Pretty good.
And this is just regular beef, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So if you come here in January, February, you can drink a traditional Marula beers. That is very nice.
Oh.
Very, very nice. Must just ask job.
As we continued on our room-to-room tour of the house, one thing became painfully obvious. There was no running water in the house. All the water that would be used for drinking and bathing was collected in plastic jugs from the community tap several hundred meters away and hand carried to the house on a daily basis.
It's a little bit sour, right?
Little bit.
Yes.
But I noticed the hotel was a little sour too.
Yes.
Yeah. Nice.
And as for the basics, you guessed it, a hole in the ground.
I think we need one of those. I wouldn't have to yell at you for not flushing.
But here's the paradox. While water had to be carted in from a half-mile away and toilet facilities required a trip to the backyard, satellites orbiting high above the Earth beamed down the latest in African entertainment. Before heading back to our local safari camp, we had to stop at a local bodega that was selling local art and cold beer. Since Fran is a sucker for jewelry and I was really thirsty, this was a win-win situation.